back in the day, we didn't have mid-credits and post-credits. That was just an ending to set up a sequel. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Has to Do with Spider-Man, I think. We keep saying this is the number one Sony Pictures Universe of Marvel Movies podcast because we're most likely the only one. I am one of your hosts, Peyton.
I'm Jarrett.
And I'm Noah.
And if you are joining us for the first time, basically what we are doing is we pitch different movies trying to create an interconnected Spider-Man universe akin to the MCU. And today is a very special day and a very special episode because we have a guest with us. It is Dylan Roth of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe?
Hello, it is I. I'm very happy to be here. This is really cool. I've been familiar with your work from day one, and I try to pop it on the pod when I can. And naturally, I think the thing you do here is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
One of our two biggest inspirations for creating this podcast is, of course, you. And you also made the intro. So a little bit of you is inside of each episode.
Stop.
This comes off really wrong. This is coming off extremely poorly.
That's fine. Listen, I'm a part of me. A little part of me is splashed over each episode.
Absolutely.
I am no longer comfortable with the podcast.
No, really, it's cool. Also, like, I got to thank you for bringing me on to do that. It's fun to get to kind of like riff a little bit on the different Spider-Man themes throughout the years. And I think I could make you guys probably a better one now with the tools that I have. If someday I have some time, I'd like to iterate and give you guys a theme worthy of your of how the show is advanced.
Oh, okay, that would be cool.
Intriguing.
I'm still since I did that one with the stuff that I used to do the Dark Universe, and now I'm using much better tools in scoring the Pod Universe with Dylan and Dalton. And whenever I hear something from them, I'm like, oh, I know I could be doing this better. I have much better MIDI patches and keys. I have much finer control over what instruments are doing. I can make those trumpets sound way better.
I love the intro, I would be happy to hear a new one. But yeah, that would be intriguing. Tell us a little bit about your connection with Spider-Man, of course, and especially the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies such as Venom and Morbius and all of those. Do you like them? This is always a great question because the answer tends to light up.
I mean, have you gotten answers? It's like I haven't listened to every episode of the show. Have you had people say that they like them?
No,
not really.
Okay.
I think there was one person who admitted that some of that, like, I don't think nobody's come on and said with a straight face that they're good, but there are people that enjoy them for reasons that have nothing to do with their quality.
I would say squarely that I do not like them. I think the first Venom is okay, and I guess there are reasons to like Let There Be Carnage on the whole. Not a good movie.
It's my favorite.
Venom: The Last Dance, not a good movie. Morbius, even going in with the expectations of it being a complete disaster, still let me down. Bad movie.
Yeah, honestly, Morbius was so frustrating because I came in really expecting my time to be morbed, but it's so thoroughly just a bad movie, but not even a super bad movie. So you can't have
my time remains thoroughly unmorbed. And
exactly.
That's really, I gotta say, I gotta put some of the blame there on our friend Ree Olivaw for setting my expectations there, thinking that it would be Morbin time, and Morbin time never came.
It didn't.
No,
it almost got overhyped with its level of quality, like level of badness, and then you watch it and it's like, no, it's just bad. It's not even like hilariously awful. It's just like, this is not good.
But it is, it did set the standard that we have to have dance sequences in all of these now. So that's something the movie can be remembered for. Madam Web, I've never watched all the way through. I sampled a little bit of it for reasons that will become clear later on in this episode.
Ooh.
And Kraven the Hunter, I have seen nothing but the trailers for that movie.
I forgot I watched that.
I don't even know. Is Kraven the Hunter even canon in your universe?
It is.
They are all considered canon.
Okay.
This might be hot take when related to these lovely things, but I think that Craven is the bottom tier of the entire theatrical Sony universe. Because you have like the Venom movies, which are all serviceable, varying degrees of quality. The first one is the best of the entire series, and then Morbius is just kind of meh. Madam Web is in the so bad it's good quality because of the confusion that movie causes with so much of its construction. And then Craven is just a terrible film from start to finish. And that's my take regarding where these all stand.
Each of the three of us has varying levels of like and dislike for those movies. Peyton loves Venom 2 for reasons that neither Noah or I could explain to you.
It's powerful. It is so powerful. It's quintessentially powerful.
Would not say it's quintessential.
It's cinema. It's like when you watch like 2000 movies or whatever, you're like, oh, you should really check out Ghost Rider 2, you know, like
What?
if you're just now getting into watching movies, it's like, oh, watch Citizen Kane, but after seeing like 8 million movies like I have, it's like you should watch Venom 2. I'm just saying that of the three of us, I'm a cinema guy.
You're a
love the movie.
cinephile? Of the three of us, you're the cinephile.
I'm an AMC A-list member. I take great pride in it. If you get AMC A-list, you can see up to 4 movies a week. If you just see 2 movies, you pay for the value of it.
We are not getting paid for these A-list ads. You got to stop.
Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
I think I've done that the last 3 episodes we've done.
You have, dog.
Did y'all hear bit of on subject? Did y'all hear about when I think Matt Smith was on Brittany Broski's sort of podcast thing where they wear the Renaissance Fair thing, and Matt Smith heard about Keanu Reeves watching Morbius on a plane. Did y'all hear about this?
I have not heard about this. What?
This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Peyton, I sent you that video.
Noah had sent it to me. Yeah, it's very funny. When y'all get the chance, I'll send it a bit later. Basically, like, he's like, what? Why the fuck is he watching Morbius? And like he like gets really confused about it. He's like,
he must have had something on the plane.
Yeah, he must have been drunk.
He just loves movies.
He
okay?
just loves movies.
It's a movie, and if it's a movie, then I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Watching them on planes.
The movies.
I can accept that from Keanu. We need to get Keanu on the pod.
I kind of can't imagine Keanu like watching a movie and then saying something bad about it. Like maybe it's happened, maybe he's on record somewhere, but I kind of think of him as being like Hideo Kojima online, where when he sees a movie he likes, he posts like absolutely rhapsodical reviews on like Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever, but how much he loves it. And when he sees a movie he doesn't like it, he'll be like, I have seen Morbius.
I remember that conversation recently. There was like evidence of that he had seen Supergirl, and there was like several paragraphs about like how much he loved it, and it described like comparing it to Good, Bad, and the Ugly and all these different things. And then somebody in the comments screenshotted him having said, I have seen Madam Web.
Yep.
That's the one I was thinking of. I'm sorry. I have seen Madam Web is the post that lives on in infamy.
So funny.
We need to get Kojima on the pod.
That would be
Kojima, come on the pod.
Come on the pod. Come onto all the pods where you get to pitch movies set in different cinematic universes. So, Dylan? What are you bringing for us today? I'm wondering. I'm kind of going into this blind. All that Jarrett said was Dylan wants to come onto the pod, and I was like, for real?
They're both essentially going in blind. I had just told them that you were interested in guesting on the pod, and they were excited to know what you had in store.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, so was my thinking. I was going through the list of things you guys have done before, and I was trying to think of what would be a Spider-Man adjacent story from the comics so that I would find interesting to try and adapt into the Spider-Man, the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies. I have that right.
Mm-hmm.
And where I landed was I wanted to do something inspired by the 1994 comics miniseries Marvels. by Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross.
Oh, snap.
Marvels is a like a sort of prestige format miniseries. These lovingly painted pages from Alex Ross that follows a photographer named Phil Sheldon, basically through the history of Marvel Comics, beginning with him being a young sort of cub photojournalist in the World War II era as the first Marvel or Timely Comics characters, the Human Torch, Namor the Submariner, and eventually Captain America were making their debuts. And then following up most of the story with him in 60s New York as an older man, as the Silver Age of comics, the golden age of Marvel was being born. And looking at all of this stuff from the eye of a regular person who's living in a New York constantly in these huge shifts, like the Fantastic Four, we love them, they're great. The Avengers, they're good. No, we hate them, they're bad. Spider-Man, hero or menace. Mutants, everyone's going crazy about mutants, right? And he's like trying to reconcile like what he knows about the world from having paid attention, right? And like been trying to be a journalist to like, what does all of this fear around mutants mean? And it is not a Spider-Man book, and most of the things that happen in it would not be fair game within the SPUM, right? I would have to stick to the Spider-Man stuff. But he is a photojournalist in New York around stories, including the night Gwen Stacy died. And he like works for the Bugle. He's a contemporary of J. Jonah Jameson's when they're growing up, as young reporters. And so that felt like I would want to try and tell a story about that kind of character embedded in the least iconic version of the Marvel universe that exists. He's going to be, I want to tell a very sincere story about life in a chaotic world, just trying to be a normal person. But I also want to do it in the crazy Spider-Man spin-off world that the three of you have been creating yourselves and with your guests, and try to make it true to your universe.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I think this could be dope. Oh my gosh.
Now, the title Marvels, I've had to throw out because, first of all, it would be confusing. There is a movie called The Marvels, and it did not make a lot of money, and we want to stay away from that. But I think that just calling it The Bugle would do the job. People who know the SPUM, people who know Spider-Man would know what that refers to, and it has like a modern movie cadence to it, right?
Yeah.
And it would also help distinguish it from the semi-canonical Daily Bugle miniseries, that web series that I see that the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies does have like listed on its wiki as being part of it. I didn't see it on your wiki, so I assume that you guys don't care about it. But
it actually is on our wiki. Jonah
has
added it a couple times to certain pages, which shocked me when I was going through learning about the Daily Bugle stuff before writing my last pitch.
Okay, well, it shouldn't conflict with that. I think
I don't think it will. We can work with it, but
I want to thank you. I want to thank whoever it is. You say Jonah. I have to thank for the wiki here. Because I was not able to like go back and listen to all these episodes of the podcast that I've missed, but I did use this a lot to make sure I was honoring the current versions of characters and status, and it actually led me in a really cool direction to see what you all have been up to and how I could make this story lock in really well with not just the existing SPUM movies that were in theaters, but with what you have been doing with it over the last couple of years. And what I have for you guys is a very a firmly like written cold open, a very a firm act one.
Okay.
And then I have bullet points after that, because for one thing, I want to make sure that this has the impact, that has the proper amount of impact on your world. I don't want to overwrite or mess up with plans you guys have. But also, even though we bumped recording this episode by 2 months, I am still finishing War of the Worlds. And so I have not had a ton of time to write things. I have to finish the score to part 2 like this afternoon once we're done, and give it to Dalton tonight so this episode can come out on time.
Holy moly.
So I hope you'll forgive me that I don't have a big finale for you guys. I think something that we can start our jam with that should make the intent and tone of the movie pretty clear, and then we should be able to wrap this up as a team, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, that's
Fine by
perfectly
us.
fine. That's awesome, actually. Yeah.
I know that when we're doing things on Dark Universe or Pod Universe, some of the most fun that I have hosting with guests is when we get to really collaborate on finishing it. Not that I don't enjoy when someone's brought in a script, but that was not in the cards for me this time.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into it. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I dive right in with the cold opens. Or you want to? Do you want to talk? You guys want to talk about Marvels? Who here has read it?
I've read a bit of it.
I have.
I've read pieces.
I really appreciate kind of the man on the ground kind of perspective for it. I find it really fascinating, the tone of it, where it's a lot more melancholic than like you'd really expect from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's reverent, and it does this thing which is always tricky to do, is it tries to look at how insane like 60s comic book events would be in the perspective of like on a modern, like if you looked at it and you took it seriously, right? And that is a dangerous thing to do with stuff as silly as a giant purple man has landed in New York and says he's going to eat the earth. Like it's sort of ahead of its time in that like superhero movies would start trying to do this like out a decade later, I guess, because this was 1994. This was after, the Burton Batman, and of course the Richard Donner Superman movies took sort of a more epic approach to it, but those were not adapting the comics very directly, right? Those were very much broad strokes. This is like painstakingly accurate to the text of the original comic books in a way that only like somebody like Kurt Busiek in this, or his DC equivalent Mark Waid would do. And it makes the Marvel Universe seem like a terrible place to live.
It really would be.
There's something, it's really funny. There's something very post 9/11 about Marvels. Yeah. And it was 1994.
It also feels, I think the tone is very like Cold War anxiety as well, of like it gives a tone of being scared of the finger on the button.
Yeah.
Like what's going to happen if one of these nukes goes off and like destroys New York City. And for that perspective, it puts into context a lot of the fears and anxieties of like the normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And for something like, say, in about 10 years was when Civil War, the original comic was published. And so this feels like a really direct precursor to that story as well, of like what happens if a like superhero battle like destroys an elementary school.
Yeah. This is like, it feels like the beginning of something, right? Like Alex Roth would make Kingdom Come with Mark Waid, I think like 2 years later. I think they probably, I mean, considering how long it probably takes Alex Roth to make one of these, it's probably he went right from one to the other. And Kingdom Come is like one of the most influential stories in that vein, where it's like, okay, what if we had like a big comics event and it shook the real world in which we live? And so that happens there. And then more fun versions of that, which is in between, you have stuff like, gosh, I'm losing the name. Peter Milligan and Mike Allred and Darwin Cook and their work they were doing on X-Force and
New Frontier?
Right.
Well, no, New Frontier, too. This is very much in the same vein as New Frontier, in that it is trying to make these stories all contemporary to when they happened. Right. But yeah, Darwin Cook's DC New Frontier is kind of a similar thing. Right. Yeah. But in that one, Cook really wanted to honor the tone of those original stories to an extent. Right. Like he fleshed out the characters, but he kept all the bright colors, and he kept the visual style was inspired by that time. This is like, what if you jumped into a comic from a Kirby X-Men, and you brought a camera, like a real camera, and you took pictures, and the pictures you took looked like people. That is what this is. It would be fucking scary and weird. So the director, with that in mind, that I have chosen for the Bugle is Matt Reeves. Not for his Batman work so much as for his first big movie, which was the story of a bunch of regular people trying to survive a Godzilla movie, Cloverfield.
Nice.
That is
excellent
the
choice.
vibe I want to bring here. He has demonstrated, obviously, in his later work, that he knows how to finesse comic book world stuff into fairly grounded cinematic language. And he's also not afraid of fantastical stuff, because he made some fantastic movies about apes. who talk and build a city. So I think he's my guy for this.
Planet of the Apes trilogy is so underrated.
It is
I love that trilogy.
fantastic. I got to tell you, having gone back and watched some of the older ones, they're not all good, but they're almost all interesting. Like I think that the Planet of the Apes franchise, give or take a Tim Burton one, which is, I can't reclaim that movie. It is just really bad. Got one of the best hit rates of any long-running science fiction film franchise.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's to Matt Reeves. You guys want to hear the cold open?
I'm
Yes,
so
please.
ready.
All right. So from the start, throughout this whole sequence, we are in the point of view of a character. And we're looking down the lens as we start of a really nice professional SLR camera. We got the viewfinder lines, we're zooming and focusing. It's clear that we're occupying the point of view of a really skilled photographer, right? So the camera is going to be coming up and down off of our eye over and over throughout the sequence. And as it does this, we're going to have half of our view is going to like shut, like you're closing one eye to focus on the viewfinder. Can you guys picture this?
Mm-hmm.
I see it in my mind's eye.
Okay. So our viewpoint character, our photographer, is looking out through this SLR and taking some engagement photos on the banks of the East River in Manhattan, looking across the river to Queens at sunset. He's just taking some pictures of this happy couple and he's coaching them through poses. He doesn't seem very engaged though, because this is beneath him, right? He's going through the motions. This is really not exciting to him. This domestic life stuff. While he's shooting, his trained eye catches some commotion across the river around what this photo shoot has been treating as set dressing. The big neon PepsiCo sign in Long Island City. There's people running around over there. It looks like he looks through the lens and he sees, and we see through his lens, that there's like 4 women running for their lives towards this building. They're being chased by something. You can't really make it out from here. But he makes up a lame excuse and he calls the photo shoot short and he runs to catch the last East River ferry across the water before it leaves. On the way over, the whole way, again, we're still locked in his point of view. And we're going to cheat the timing a little bit because we don't want to take the whole trip across the East River ferry. But he's looking through the lens, getting closer and closer to the action. And he's getting to make out what viewers, what longtime fans of the Spun will recognize, of course, as the climax to Madam Web. So now you know that we're in the 90s, question mark?
I think 2003.
2003. Right, that's the date of birth that you guys have for Spider-Man on your wiki. Okay, it's 2003. And he's watching, and he never gets a good look at whatever this menace is. But there's all kinds of crazy shit happening around these 4 women who are running into this warehouse right behind the PepsiCo sign, right? But he's getting these great shots, and he's convinced nobody else is like, he's so proud of himself. This is what he lives for, right? He gets across the river. Fireworks start going off inside this building because it is apparently a fireworks factory. And flames and debris are getting thrown in all directions. He gets narrowly missed by one, and this is just so exciting to him, so he just keeps going. He's looking up now as a rescue helicopter hovers above the PepsiCo sign. And it's looking for a place to land and pick up these fleeing people. And we finally get our lens focused on the antagonist, a man in a tight all-black costume with a mask and these angular lenses and details like webbing across his body. He sees it, he takes a shot, and then immediately more fireworks explode and send sharp metal right towards us, and we cut to black. When we slowly fade back in, it is only on one side of the screen. Looking down at us from our I think it's our right eye, it's a slightly de-aged Frances McDormand, and she's like, "Phil, thank God you're all right." We look around, we can see that we're in this hospital bed, and the man whose voice is behind us here is like, "Doris, my eye, what's wrong with my eye?" Doris, Frances McDormand, reluctantly offers him a mirror, and we see the face of Phil Sheldon, played in this film by Mark Rylance. His left eye is damaged beyond repair, but his remaining eye, the one he uses for his camera lens, that one's intact. Doris cries, but Phil breathes a sigh of relief because he didn't lose anything important. The eye he uses to take his photos is just fine. His eye drifts over Doris's shoulder out the window, which just happens to have a view across the East River, out towards the smoking ruins behind the PepsiCo sign. And then we have our title card, The Bugle.
Okay.
So there's our cold open. We're tying this directly into a pivotal early point in the history of the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies in Madam Web. And that's where our version of Phil Sheldon loses his eye.
Mark Rylance is such a good casting for this role.
That's a great pick.
Oh, thank you. I'm a fan. You know that we loved Mark Rylance over there in the Pod universe.
Mm-hmm.
This gives this cold open, like I could picture it. It kind of gives me chills. Like the thought of like you quickly set up this sort of character of Phil and kind of showcases everything that matters to him in such a really succinct way. Like it's, I don't know, I really, really like this. This is really,
Thank you.
I can see it.
I think that's you know my favorite thing is I think establishing a character through action is what, you know, that's what movies are made of. I love that shit.
We come to the movies to laugh, to cry.
No,
We do.
Did you know if you get AMC A-list, you
shut
can...
up. Oh my god.
Okay, lately when I have gone to AMC of late, they have shown an abbreviated version of the Nicole Kidman intro. And that
true.
is
Haven't they?
infuriating to me because all I want them to do is lower the lights and have a voice say, "Now, if everyone please rise and remove your caps for the reciting of our
Nicole
national
Kidman.
anthem."
Yes.
And then for everyone to stand up and say, "We come to this place." That's what I want. And I get
I
denied
fully
that
agree
every
with you.
time.
Frankly, I agree. I think that the Nicole Kidman opening, it's frankly, that's why we come to the movies.
Yes.
If we come to this place.
If they don't give us this, I'm just gonna go to Regal.
Literally.
Regal's intro jokes are bad, but it's but yeah. So this was my cold open. I do have a lot of stuff beat it out for Act 1 if you want to hear it, or do you have questions, comments, concerns before I move on?
I kind of have a comment.
Hit me.
Well, it's more like I guess a semi question too. This is kind of giving me vibes of, there was an HBO TV movie titled Live from Baghdad, starring Michael Keaton and Helena Bonham Carter. Have you happened to see that before?
I haven't.
It's pretty good. It's based off of the real story of, like, there was some sort of the Gulf War was happening in like 1991, and Michael Keaton stars as like a real journalist named Robert Weiner. Like the real dude.
It cannot be Wiener.
Weiner. My
No, it can be
apologies.
Wiener. Some people go by Wiener, including that guy who was famous for having his dick pics leak in New York.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But it's a really solid movie talking about, like, kind of how odd it is to be a journalist that is constantly doing 24-hour journalism, and kind of grappling with that sort of ethics, and thinking about how it makes people feel, and how it's hard on the mental health and mental well-being of people. And we haven't gotten into Act 1 yet, but my brain is kind of wired to imagining that sort of, some of that stuff kind of happening. I really love journalism movies in which it's like people trying to either solve something and write an article about it, or trying to figure something out, or they're grappling with the idea of, like, should I be doing this? Pretty harrowing movie that came out years ago was talking about the news reporter Christine Chubbuck. But I remember seeing that back in like 2018, 2019. It was just called, I think, Christine. And I think that having the boots on the ground story is it's something that's severely lacking in superhero media, especially. And I think that this idea would be so sick to see on the big screen. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say for Act 1.
thanks.
A comment. And I really recommend Live from Baghdad.
But while I haven't seen Live from Baghdad, I will say that, like, I guess this is kind of a cheap or easy one to talk about, but I did think a little bit about Alex Garland's Civil War when I was thinking about the tone of this movie. That's, set from, it is a story about, on the ground about war reporters, and the war that they're reporting about happens to be set in, the continental United States along the eastern seaboard. So it is, I think there'd be some common DNA there. I didn't want this movie to be so bleak as to suggest Alex Garland as a director. But as if there was as if there would be an even 1% chance that he'd do it. Like, I know he's doing Elden Ring, but this is the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel movies. Okay, this is the entity that this is what got Dakota Johnson's agent fired. So I don't think we're getting Alex Garland. So I want to go in here to Act 1 because I think that I'm gratified that this is that you've projected forward a little bit of this. Is, I do want the opening scene of the movie be kind of a rehearsal for the whole movie. And so the sort of talking about the adrenaline addiction / constant trauma of a war journalist is definitely part of this. So now we're in the present day. Bill Sheldon, again, we got Mark Rylance. He's a photojournalist in his late 60s, celebrated for his work as a war photographer, and he's well known as a one-eyed wanderer with singular focus.
He probably does have a singular focus with the one eye.
I'm trying to pun over here. All right. So he returns to his native New York after years of globetrotting, trying to stay afloat and support his family as the publishing industry gets squeezed tighter and tighter. Phil is back in town to work for his old friend J. Jonah Jameson, played as always by Lawrence Fishburne, as a photo editor. Now Phil prefers to be jet setting around the world, sleeping in tents and being woken by bombshells and such. But he's doing this because there should be at least two benefits for him. First, some quality time with his mostly estranged wife Doris, played by Frances McDormand, and his grown-up daughters. Second, his body could probably use a break from the constant adrenaline of the war front. He is getting up there in years, and this is a young man's game. Phil is going to be wrong on both counts there, because first of all, reconciling with Doris and the kids is proving to be impossible. He's been an incredibly absentee father and husband, and it's going to take everything he's got to earn a place in this family's lives. But they're not going to get everything he's got, because New York is not the calmest work environment these days. There's been an enormous uptick in the number of costume criminals and vigilantes in town, and he may have just traded one war zone for another. Thing is, since Phil actually feels quite at home in a war zone, that means he's even less inclined to spend time patching things up with Doris and the kids. Instead, he slides easily into the role of elder statesman and mentor to the young photographers and journalists at the Bugle. We see him take a shine to Peter Parker, whose work betrays a familiar eagerness to get right into the middle of the action. He brings in amazing photos of the spectacular red and blue clad Spider-Man. This kid's got moxie. He's also getting close to J. Jonah's college-aged assistant, Betty Brandt, who I don't know if this works with your timeline. I know you've already cast her brother, but I would love to have Angourie Rice play this role again, just a different version of the character. I think she was a good actor. I'd love to have more for her to do.
I agree.
She plays her in the MCU. He's trying to help Betty escape her current clerical hell and become the reporter that she came here to be. He ends up spending more and more of his off hours with her and basically none with his daughter her age. So he's already, instead of going home to his family, he's replacing them already with his action family. And it's pretty devastating to the people he's leaving at home. So Phil starts getting back into the field with Betty and Peter, the latter of whom is conspicuously absent whenever Spider-Man's around. And he starts getting photos of some cool action sequences from previous Spawn the films. And you can tell me which ones you think should be visited once I firmly establish where in your timeline we're set here. About to tie us into some events that will very firmly determine where this movie takes place in time, in your timeline. So Phil, who prides himself on his objectivity, thinks JJ is off the mark calling Spider-Man a menace. He's up there, up close, he's seeing the good that Spidey does. But his perspective changes when one night, Bill and Betty are chasing the lead and see that Spider-Man's got a new look, an all-black costume that gives Phil immediate flashbacks to that night all those years ago, when he lost his eye chasing a stranger in an all-black suit with angular eyes and webs across the chest. Phil begins to spiral, trying to determine what the connection is between Spider-Man and this strange figure who he only got a glimpse of 20 years ago. And he's going through his own photos, and he's starting to unravel just a bit. He becomes determined to unravel the secret of Spider-Man, which of course the audience knows Peter is right there under his nose, his protege. And of course, in all Spider-Man movies, Peter should be in some way close to his antagonist. And that's essentially what he has here. We are now, like so many other Spawn movies, it's almost like we're doing a villain origin story. He's not a villain, right? But he is an antagonist to Spider-Man. He is somebody who is determined to uncover the truth about him. Meanwhile, this, we're projecting into Acts 2 and 3, is going to force him to intensify all of his bad habits from his life as a traveling war photographer. And what he won't accept is that he is coping with the PTSD from his initial wound, right? He's never worked on himself in that way. He's just chased the thrill. He's never worked on the damage that this has done to him. And so this is all going to have to lead him back to his family. As in the graphic novel, he's going to have to kind of rediscover what's important to him. And what's important to him is not the plots of these superhero movies. It should be trying to live his life. The life that's not part of any of this. How exactly he gets there, I think I would like to be determined a little bit by the events of Spum movies that take place during this period you're in right now, where we have our black suit Spidey.
Okay.
I would like for, just like in Marvels, I would like for the big events that are happening in the story that are not really what the story's about, but create like the action set pieces for him to be involved in.
Sure.
Create the sort of the larger skeleton. I'd like that to sort of be a greatest hits of your movies.
Okay.
Okay. So
That's what I've got for you
Hmm.
here so far. Is I've got my setup and I've got some of my goals. But I don't know exactly how the story ends, because I feel like that should be built right off of, like in Marvels, it's sort of built around the night Gwen Stacy died, right?
Sure.
Like that's the final pivotal moment in his life, and I don't think it entirely works. But here we not only don't have that moment. Like, I was debating whether or not I should introduce the real Gwen Stacy here, but I didn't think that was my place. You guys have introduced an AI called Gwen Stacy,
Yeah.
but no real Gwen Stacy. I don't want to do anything that's potentially going to discourage you from canonizing this story or foul up plans you might have for the future. So I went with
Sure.
Betty Brant, also because she works at the Bugle. That made sense.
Right.
That can be his sort of daughter figure here.
Honestly, this works as a really parallel story to my pitch that just came out.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because that pitch is all about Eddie and Peter working at the Bugle and getting to be better friends while Peter is dealing with the reawakening of the black suit. And so there's a lot to do with the Bugle there. And that pitch ends with our version of the clock tower scene. So he goes to the top of the clock tower to rip off the symbiote suit. But in this universe, because it is revealed that the symbiote suit in that one is kind of the reawakening, almost childlike Venom from after Venom's death in The Last Dance, Peter accepts the responsibility to begin kind of caring for the symbiote and retraining it and everything. And so he rips the suit off after striking the bell, but then takes it back onto him as he realizes that Venom needs him. So working kind of backwards from there, I think that might be a really solid climax for this film, where like Phil would somehow track Peter all the way to the clock tower, and it like sees him, like finally is confirmed like his secret identity, starts to snap pictures, but then after watching his like character in reaccepting his responsibility and the like caring for the symbiote as this child, that could be a moment where he decides to throw away the pictures he's taken so that he can protect Peter. And that's like kind of the culmination of his arc to this point, where he decides that getting the scoop is not as important as protecting someone he cares about.
The thing I really like about that is that it's a moment where he sees the young Peter doing something kind of paternal.
Yes.
Right? And deciding that he's going to basically help raise the symbiote, choosing that over really, I guess, winning in sort of like saving the day, beating the bad guy is what Spider-Man does. Getting the picture, breaking the story is what Phil does. And Peter chooses to do something nurturing that is sort of contrary to the narrative of how this is supposed to work. And so I like that as something he never has to necessarily even remark on, but it would help him to reach a conclusion of like, I think maybe the thing I'm supposed to do now is to be a dad, or even just yeah. And so that actually works great. That's wonderful.
I'm glad you picked up on that. That's where I was leading with that.
It's wonderful to luck into that having been the previous installment of the franchise, and like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because I've went back to the timeline page, and we have about a year to work with between when the symbiote ends up with Peter and Venom 4, which Noah recently pitched on the podcast. We have about a year to play with here, and I'm assuming, I don't think this was really outright said, but when he sees the black suit Spider-Man running around, is he under the impression that potentially that is the same character from the beginning?
He doesn't know.
Ezekiel Slims. Yeah.
I think, so he won't know who Ezekiel is, right? And so I think it would raise the question for him, like, oh, is Spider-Man actually the guy from 20 years ago? Because people don't know
disappeared
Spider-Man's
for this long.
Yeah, like, was I actually there at a formative moment for him or something like that? Like, I think it would just raise questions, and he's a journalist, so if he's got questions, he wants to get those answers.
Right.
He's actually so far away from the answers, right? Because Madam Web has nothing to do with anything. But
So we have a year to play with here where he can follow the antics of Spider-Man in this black suit era, and over through the course of Phase 2, the symbiote without Peter's direct knowledge, but it's not like taking him over, is starting to make him a little bit more erratic in his actions. And so if he's following Spider-Man through these things over the course of a year, and we're like checking in on him occasionally throughout the pitch, I imagine he's getting like more and more invested in the idea that this could be the same guy, and like to try and like expose the story, like get the scoop that that the two are connected. And the more that things start to happen as the symbiote situation gets worse, the more convinced he is until that scene at the clock tower.
Right, he's
so close.
Peter would be giving him, all of the ammunition that he needs, like all the evidence that he needs to think that like he's actually maybe secretly bad now because he's not entirely himself.
I think we could have perhaps maybe just like, okay, there's a line in I believe it's Chip Zdarsky's run of Spectacular Spider-Man or something like that. There's this moment where they're talking, it's Jonah is talking to a different person, and the person's like, why are you so hard on Parker? And Jonah says something about like, well, he just lost his mom, or he just lost his uncle. Kids had a hard life. I see a lot of myself in him, and so I'm giving him a chance. I think that there's possibly an idea here to kind of build on the lore of the grander universe, that perhaps Peter didn't start working for the Bugle until after the events of Lethal Protectors, in which he lost his mom, his dad, and his aunt, all in a very short time frame.
Like 2 days.
Like in 2 days, yeah. And so I think kind of going back to the earlier idea of the fact that Phil has kind of found this action family in this sense would work really well with kind of the whole theming of this, and being like, he feels a sort of paternal sense to Peter, and then Peter eventually feels this paternal sense to the symbiote, and this in turn makes Phil realize, I'm spending so much time here, I'm missing out on the bigger picture that is his family back home. And so I think like, we have, perhaps he just has more or less arrived after the events of Lethal Protectors, and so New York is kind of like freaked out by it, but like he's still kind of determining, okay, well, what's going on around here, what's happening. And then I think, of course, we do have a set piece featuring Big Wheel.
Gotta have Big Wheel,
of course.
Gotta have Big Wheel. I think that Big Wheel's like probably a great set piece for Act 2. I don't know why my brain keeps thinking about the scene in Pixels where they're chasing Pac-Man in the fucking cars.
Can we have Phil like sit down and interview Big Wheel for like one of these scenes? Just ask him, and like Big Wheel in the interview seat starts talking like one of those, like a interviewee at war, and he's like, you see some things out here, man.
I think too, there's slight possibility of doing stuff involving the clones. We've introduced, at least at this point in the time frame, Ben Reilly has probably either left New York for a little bit and he's just kind of come back, or Jessica Drew is, of course, doing her thing as the Spider-Woman. So perhaps there's this sort of thing of when he notices this character that looks similar to the Sims version of Spider-Man from 20 years ago or whatever. He's kind of like, wait, so now there's a woman that's also running around too. and it's kind of like almost kind of like a red herring or dead lead, like that.
Right. I mean, the fact that there's a bunch of spider people going around there creates like a mystery for him to solve. Where it's like, is it this guy, or it's not a situation where he's obviously thinking, oh, this must be the guy from 20 years ago. There are other suspects. There
Right.
are reasons for there to be doubt. There is truly a mystery for him to solve, not just a bias for him to confirm.
Right. I think it could be fun too. Perhaps Robbie Robertson, who we introduced in the Ben Reilly movie. I think it could be funny if Phil doesn't really he can't seem to just put two and two together. The fact that Peter is Spider-Man until like a little bit later on in the movie. But we do the thing where, you know, in the original Spider-Man trilogy,
I
like the
hear
Tobey Maguire-
Spider-Man was there.
Yeah, I heard Spider-Man was there. And like, and it feels like, why do you keep questioning him about this, dude? Like, stop. Like, you're grilling
Keeps
him.
being so weird.
Yeah, stop being mean to Peter. He just lost his family, man. I heard Spider-Man was there.
Yeah, our Robbie Robertson is just like really socially awkward.
Yeah. Side-eyeing Peter all the time. Oh my gosh.
Dog,
But
his like everybody just died.
Yeah, he has no like, he's not Kurt at all. Perhaps there could be an original one, some sort of D-list, F-list villain that we don't really get much of. I mean,
Oh, okay. Have you ever picked up the thread for, I don't know how that story ends, because again, I have not watched other than that one scene, so I could make sure I could get the sequence of events right and pick like a moment that would be key that really existed in Madam Web. I never watched Madam Web. What happens to Ezekiel at the end of that movie? Is he dead? Is he alive?
He
Dead as
gets
hell.
crushed by the Pepsi sign.
Okay, that's pretty firmly dead. But this is also comic book world. If Spider-Man got crushed by that Pepsi sign, he would live.
he could pick it up. Yeah.
Is there an opportunity here? Would it muddle our story too much if he actually does track down Ezekiel Sims?
I think a better solution would be tracking down Ezekiel Sims's assistant from that
Oh
movie.
my god, the unnamed woman.
Computer
Yes.
lady.
His guy in the chair.
Oh my god, totally forgot about her.
Who he's constantly like, we will find them. We will destroy them all so that they do not take what I have built.
She's played by Zosia Mamet Amaria is her name. Apparently, I did not know that she had a name. She never got named in that movie.
They never
Amaria.
say her name in that script, I promise you.
It would be funny if there was like a scene. I'm thinking about this bit in Batman Beyond, where remember the early episode of Batman Beyond, The Winner's Edge or The Winning Edge. I don't remember which the title was. Where there's somebody has been introducing Venom as a performance enhancing drug to athletes in his high school, and so Terry Batman tracks down Bane, thinking that he's the villain of the story, and he finds him, and he's on life support because decades of drug abuse have destroyed his body. And his nurse turns out to really be the guy who has been using the formula and selling these drugs. What if as part of his investigation, trying to see whether or not Spider-Man could basically be Ezekiel Sims, he tracks down Ezekiel Sims, and that assistant character is basically still taking care of him, but he's, not doing much better than he was when he was crushed by the PepsiCo sign. And that eliminates him as a suspect. I don't know. It's too muddy. We're getting a little bit farther from where the story is.
Well, no, I don't think it's too muddy. It's definitely very lore heavy compared to what the rest of the movie is. Okay, Phase 3. I am planning on doing a loose adaptation of the Superior Foes of Spider-Man. It was a series. It's a comedy series about 12 or I think it's 12 or 18 issues or something like that.
I think it's 12 issues.
It's by Nick Spencer. Really funny. Strongly recommend it. And also Steve Lieber does the art for it. Or Lieber. I'm being terrible with pronouncing names today. But anyways, in my general idea, Ezekiel Sims does play a sort of main antagonist role in it. It's basically a heist movie where they're trying to steal Ezekiel Sims' spider.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you want to maybe set something up here?
Kinda. I think that could work. The only thing is I think that Sims is either fully healed or he has some sort of healing. What's that thing called? Where healing factor. He
regeneration.
probably has a healing factor of some sort that's making him more or less better. But I think kind of, oh, he's dead, and I just forgot her name. Amaria.
Amaria.
Amaria is probably like faking that he's dead, and it's like, oh, I have control of his finances or whatever. And no, there's no such thing of this. And maybe Phil is like, well, he was studying spiders in the Amazon before he died.
Right before he died, yeah.
You know? And she's like, I really don't see how that matters. He's like, don't you see this? Aren't you seeing the threads?
Threats.
Yeah,
That's
aren't
a
you
good
seeing the
idea for
webs?
like a mid credits if this were to have one. It feels really weird to put a mid credits into this type of story given like the nature of it. But
Yeah,
if the lead goes cold with him finding her his assistant, Ezekiel Sims'
Mhm.
assistant, and her being like, yeah, no, he's dead. I control his finances, and it all goes through like certain charities and stuff. So, and she's like, nah, I can't help you. And then like at the very end, you find out that she's actually like trying to care for him, and he's in like a very debilitated state, but he's not dead.
Mhm.
But
We've
in terms of
gotta-
like for the sake of the plot, he is a dead end for
Mhm.
our main character trying to get the answers he's looking for, but it does still set up the potential for him to play a part in the future.
Right. Back in the day, we didn't have mid credits and post credits. That was just an ending to set up a sequel. So I imagine
There's-
if we didn't want to have a post credits, that could just be the ending of the movie.
So there is a part of me that thinks that might be a little too far to, bring Ezekiel Sims back to life, essentially, because, that it starts to muddle with consequences and everything. And he's one of the few that we've actually, like, has stayed dead this whole time. But if we did bring him back, he is never allowed to actively speak on screen.
Oh my god. He's always like
it's
80 yard in.
All ADR.
Oh my god.
It's so crazy that, like, again, I watched the one sequence from this movie, and I don't think throughout that entire sequence there's a single line of dialogue that you see the face of the person as they're saying it.
No.
Oh,
Dude,
And my
no.
understanding is that the entire movie is like that.
It is amazing to watch Madam Web, and you start the film not even 2 minutes in. It opens with Madam Web's mother, Constance Webb, studying spiders in the Amazon right before she dies, and she says something about, "We're close, Ezekiel. We're about to find them." And the actor who plays Ezekiel comes into the frame, but he's very off focus, and he's like holding an umbrella, and like you can only see the bottom half of his face, which is hilarious for the editing, because he responds with a line that's something like, "We better be. You promised that we would be finished with this soon," or something like that. But because the lower half of his face is the only one that you can see, it does not move. It doesn't move at all. It is the second line of dialogue in the film, and you can already tell that he did not say that.
Top 10 movies of all time, genuinely. But kind of going back, because that's kind of, to me, at least in this general pitch, I do really like that idea. I love it. And I think that it does belong, but at the same time, it's kind of losing the for lack of a better analogy in the top of my mind and making up a new one off the dome. It's like we're going for the mashed potatoes when we're eating roast beef, you know? Like this.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get too far away from the grounded human story we're telling, but
Yeah.
I think it's it's part of the thing of working within a universe, a shared universe like this,
yes.
is that you can explore
have
some of the
to,
main some material with a different tone than you'll be exploring it next time.
Mhm.
So if there's an opportunity, like I was going to dismiss it, but if there is an opportunity to kind of like leave a little bit of take care of like a little bit of story business that you were going to do in your Sinister Foes of Spider-Man bit, then I'm not going to walk off the set over that. I think that's fine. That's part of the experiment. It's part of why we're here. But yeah, I definitely don't want to be I don't want to pull the focus too far from that. Like what we don't have right now in the details that I've written out in our discussions is really very much about the family that he needs to get back to, right? Like I think we establish a little bit of what it is that he's running from, and what that means in contrast to the life that he's been trying to live forever. In the book they don't give you much, right? Doris is not really a character, and I do not even remember the kids' names. They do one thing in the book, which is that they hide a mutant kid in their basement that kind of changes his mind about mutants, because he was really bought in on the fear of mutants, and then he starts to kind of think of them as people after that. But now I'm thinking we're dealing with adult children, right? Just because the age of the characters, and because I want it to be like a contrast to his relationship with Peter and Betty, who are young adults. And I'm also, if I'm going to cast Frances McDormand as Doris, I want to give her something to do, because she's a top tier actor. And I'm curious if. Sorry, go ahead.
I wonder if there could be. You don't want to give too much, I think, in an instance like this. But I wonder if there could be like this kind of unspoken trust that was broken at some point during like Phil's time away with war, like his war photography and everything. Like if both of them ended up feeling so lonely that they ended up going for someone else like during that time, and then coming back together, and that don't feel like that trust or that intimacy has ever like fully recovered, and they're just kind of trying to put on brave faces for their kids. And then like through the film, and with the expectation that he is going to be better changed by Spider-Man, in his pursuit of trying to unmask Spider-Man, realizes that if he wants to he won't be able to fully reconcile with his children if he's not able to fully reconcile with his wife, and accepting the responsibility that he has to admit his mistakes and come forward for her if he ever wants to be a part of their family to be whole again in that way.
Right.
Okay, so an interesting idea with that is maybe at some point Doris years ago confessed to an affair, and Phil has been globetrotting for decades, and it is pretty clear that he has fucked around a little bit. But in order to kind of hold something over Doris's head, he's never copped to it. Like everybody,
that's good.
That's what
that's good.
Everybody's so certain, but because she cheated while he was away getting shot at, and he feels terrible about not being like, part of him feels terrible, even if what he really wants is to run around and duck bullets. The part of him that feels guilty about this needs this cover, right? He needs to be able to be the victim here, or he'll hate himself too much. So he's latched onto this thing, which is his excuse to be distant. He's not the one who broke their trust. Of course, he knows that's not true, right? But he now gets to justify his own infidelities. In hindsight, being like, well, she's cheating and she didn't know. I did. Like, yes, she knows, dude. Everybody knows. Your kids absolutely know. You're a journalist. Your whole life is in the pursuit of truth or whatever. You have to just confess this thing everybody knows. Like,
Yes.
Just balance out this completely bullshit power imbalance that you've created with your spouse, and just come clean. And maybe that's the thing. Like maybe it's like worse a little bit in that he used this as a wedge with the kids. Like his way of being the good parent, even though he was gone, is that he revealed to them that their mother cheated, like when they were young enough to not put all the pieces together.
Yeah.
And that soured everything a little bit. And he did that just as a play to, in some measure, be the good parent. but it's bullshit. And so maybe that's like, now we're getting more into the heavier character drama stuff that we were talking about.
Hey, no.
Oh yeah.
Very immediate idea that comes with this, though, is that lowest point of the film, darkest point of the night, is that he like confesses this, and still kind of expects her to just take him back, but she is obviously immediately furious and very hurt that he's like kept this for so long. Maybe not even so much that like he was having an affair, but just that he hasn't trusted her to share this, and just like held it over her for so long. And so now he's kind of at his lowest point because he's like, this should have fixed everything. And
Right, but
he goes,
it's gonna take more than that.
exactly. But he goes to the church to pray, and that's where he looks up and sees Spider-Man in the clock tower.
Spider-Man 3.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Spider-Man
Oh my
3
God.
homage. But this time it's like, it's not Eddie Brock praying for the death of Peter Parker,
Yeah.
but like his prayer could sort of be answered by he's been seeking out Spider-Man like the whole movie, and then all of a sudden he's right there. And so he's like, this is my chance to fix everything. I'm going to like be this great journalist who's going to break this story. And then he gets the greater lesson watching him of how to like selflessly put himself aside for his family.
I think I kind of prefer the idea of him like up to this point he's been getting the pieces together very slowly while this has been going on with his family, and he's like so close to having like, he's like, I'm pretty confident that Spider-Man is going to, or whoever this is going to be here at this point. And when he like leaves in a huff from his home after like, that should have fixed everything. I know what I'm going to do. We're going to go and I'm going to prove that all of this, that I've been right all along, that my hunch is correct, that I'm going to get the scoop and it's all going to fix everything. Like that last ditch, like Hail Mary attempt to try and gain control back over the situation. It's not so much like a, I am lost, I need help moment, but it's more like he's trying to seek it out for himself, and the answer he gets when he applies himself into this one avenue that he thinks is going to go one way, it goes a different direction.
That works too.
So
Yeah.
the idea being like, okay, if I can't salvage my personal life, I'll go back to what I'm good at, and I'll work out this. I'll solve this mystery, and I'll prove how good I am. And then that kind of throws a wrench into his work family, because the guy he's been chasing is his surrogate son in Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I think there's some interesting ways to play with all these ideas together.
And then when like kind of, I wouldn't say a happy ending per se, but when things kind of like get to a solid middle, like decent ground, and Phil now knows, okay, Peter Parker is Spider-Man and whatever. They're having some sort of meeting with Jameson, and Peter's like, I'm sorry I didn't get those pictures. And then Phil gets to go, and I heard Spider-Man was there. And so
and then do
Peter
the
kinda
side eye. Peter like looks at him and he just looks it back at Peter.
Yeah.
Cut to black.
Mhm.
Something I was kind of thinking about, we were talking a little bit too about the kids, and they're probably adult age at this point. I think one of our sort of older than Peter Parker, but younger than the rest of like for example Eddie or Big Wheel.
Yeah. Like 30s.
We've only like kind of, I want to say probably like mid 20s, right? Like 25 to about 28, 29. The only character that we really kind of have at this point that comes to mind is either like Aaron or Hobie of the Prowler duo, and then Swiss Miss of Jonah's guest pitch. And I think there could be an interesting sort of cornerstone to the fact that like perhaps they don't feel any connection really to mom or dad. Like dad's not really there. Mom is like had an affair, and so it's like the sort of daddy issues and mommy issues type thing, and perhaps they find some sort of connection with like Swiss Miss, or most likely Hobie, because Aaron is off doing multiversal shit. And I think Hobie being like a new dad at this point, just based off of the post credits of Solo, I think there's some sort of, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking of like the kids too as having some sort of C plot that's kind of trying to reconnect with the family in a way through other people, or the blood is thicker than water sort of idea. But then the fact that like the found family, I guess, I don't know. That's a totally tangential thought that we probably do not need to bounce off of at all.
I was gonna say it's a decent idea. I fear that it would muddy it
would
if this
bloat
were
this
more
movie
fleshed out.
so
Yeah.
hard. It would bloat it so hard.
I think it
Yeah.
would be. I think that even though we're not going to literally stay in his point of view past the cold open, I think it would be confusing to leave Phil's like point of view as our point of view character and like add additional point of view characters. I think this has to stay very closely attached to him, and I think that, but I do think there's an opportunity where like we're talking about like now what is a happy ending for him now? Because if we're going with the whole like sort of deliberately poisoning his children's relationship to their mother angle, he's not going home, right? This is kind of we've made it kind of too dark for him to like really deserve like an idyllic ending where like we have this nuclear family put back together. I think it's just a matter of like I think it's more like he has to do right by them in some other way. So like I think that we have to decide what the goals are that his kids have. That like what is it that they want? What is it that they should have gotten from him in the first place and they didn't?
Mhm.
Right? And he can't do all that for that. He can't go back in time. We're not doing that kind of story and just like be present in their lives. But the interesting thought of, I don't know, maybe he has to do something to kind of repair the damage that he did to those relationships. Mm-hmm. Him being their dad is not really what they need anymore, because he's burned that bridge. That's not happening. Maybe he has to do something to kind of repair the damage he did to his kids and his wife between them. Kind of hard to figure how you're going to put that into the context of like sort of a superhero movie. That's kind of hard, but just some little thing he can do at the end of the movie, like feeding off of like the lessons that he's learned watching the cathedral scene from Venom 4. Mm-hmm. Something that will get him there. I don't know if we need to work out these specifics right here on the call, but like, I think that we should know firmly like what does redemption look like for Phil, for the version of Phil that we have continually dug into deeper and deeper and deeper holes throughout this conversation.
Is the original comic this dark?
I mean, it's dark in some ways. It is. Phil doesn't personally do anything all that terrible, except for he gets caught up in the energy of an anti-X-Men mob, and he hurls a brick at Iceman and immediately regrets it. He's mostly a pretty passive character because that's kind of the nature of the story they're telling. He's kind of an absentee father, but at the end of it, he decides that he'd rather put away his camera and spend some time retired with his family. But he doesn't do anything like super like bad to them. He's just kind of not around much, which was my original intent when we were starting this pitch. But now we've kind of dug deeper into the drama, and if we're going to stick with that, then it can't be as easy an answer for him.
I immediately think of Jim Gordon cheating on his wife in Batman Year One when shit's hitting the fan. Like Gotham is just getting worse and worse and darker. And I think there's some sort of thematic parallel to be drawn with what we're conceptualizing here in the Batman Year One Gordon character. And by the end of that, what he eventually realizes is he's just like, Gordon goes on to marry the person he cheats on his wife with.
Yeah, that situation doesn't really end well.
Yeah, and then she dies in freaking No Man's Land. But
she's one of the handful of characters who was around for many years, died, and has always stayed dead.
Yeah, I think here perhaps the idea is Phil's just like, all right, I can't rectify this. Maybe it's almost kind of sad. We talked a little bit earlier about the fact that Phil is kind of acting as the antagonist to Peter, being really connected to Peter in a way. Perhaps there's a sort of melancholy ending to this where it's just like, okay, Phil realizes he can't really help his family like this, so he's probably just gonna dive deeper and deeper into his work. And that sucks. It sucks.
There is. It's fun that there's an opportunity for me to put a personal bugaboo in here. If is a thing that I'm thinking about is it's just a problem that I think a lot of people are running into in various fields right now because not only is there less work in general in most fields, but the generation ahead of us in a lot of important positions, let's say political power, but also, in academia, in journalism, just refuse to fucking retire.
Literally.
Even though they can afford to, they're the last generation who might be able to afford to retire, but they won't just fucking sit down.
For real.
So it might be an interesting thing for there also to be a that Phil isn't just addicted to the action; he's addicted to feeling important, right?
Mhm.
To being a part of it, and that maybe part of what he has to learn, maybe the sort of one of his lessons is instead of trying to redeem himself in the eyes of so and so, so that he gets to be the good guy again and be the center of. He's kind of making himself the center of the story, which a journalist should never do, right? And the one of the lessons he has to learn here is maybe what I need to do is stop.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking maybe the ending is we can leave it very it could be left very what's the word? Ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
Where his big decision is that he's going to retire. Like he goes to Jameson at the end and turns in his camera and he's like, it's time for me to stop. I've given too much of my life to this, and it's affected me in so many ways that I will likely never truly be able to rectify unless I stop here. And so he hands it in, and then the last scene of the movie is maybe he goes to his house, sees Doris, and says, "I've stopped," or "I'm done." Or,
Yeah, and maybe where it's not so much like, okay, welcome home. It's like, I'm happy to hear that, and it leaves the door open. Like maybe things can be better.
yeah, that's just the end.
Yeah.
It's I'm done.
Is it slightly morbid for him to maybe give Betty Brant his eye patch?
I don't.
What?
I don't
As
feel
in-
like that's totally consistent with what we've been talking about doing.
Dog, he needs his eye patch.
He probably doesn't need his eye patch medically, right? Yeah. My brain was just kind of. I'm still okay. Last night we read Jeff the Killer, and I'm still kind of Jeff the Killer pilled, and so my brain is just really kind of caught on things that can be set up and then kind of paid off at the end, and I'm like, well, perhaps he. Listen, This is your camera eye. This is the eye that you see through the lens, and he's like,
I think
you'll find your dominant eye. And
I think it needs to be the opposite thing because one of the things I'm trying to set up in that cold open is that he loses the eye he does not use for his this is his non-dominant eye. He uses the one he doesn't use to look through the camera, and then symbolically the idea is that he doesn't miss that, right? I think it would be more apropos for him to remind Betty to keep both her eyes open.
yeah,
There you go.
I like that.
yeah.
That's far better.
Far better than giving a medical piece of equipment. That's like when I dislocated my kneecap. I'm giving my friend my knee brace. It'd be like,
here's my crutches.
Here's my crutches.
I feel like I've told my best friend, hey, I'm moving out of town. Here's my inhaler.
Yeah.
This is my ACL. I tore it a few years ago. You're welcome to have it.
Oh my gosh. I think that this got legs. This has legs. This is pretty cool.
I like this.
This has been fun.
Cool / slightly harrowing and kind of sad and also kind of hopeful at the end too. I think this has legs. I would love to see this in theaters.
I love to get to do this to somebody else's show for a change. It's that feels nice. Often, like on Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe and on the Pod Universe, we have guests come in and they pitch us movies like this, and the bellwether usually is like, oh, am I, when we're done with this conversation, am I frustrated that I can't go watch this movie? If yes, then we did a good job, and hopefully I have accomplished that here. And obviously not alone, as I only came in with a little bit of the movie, and we worked the rest out together. But that is gratifying. I love this.
Yes, this is awesome.
I think this
Do
is
we
a
kinda
really, really strong idea, and I love any kind of opportunity to revisit old scenes from new perspectives and things like that. But I think that this is a really, really strong kind of look that also does play into several of the themes of this phase. Like I've been saying it the whole time, identity, where we're talking about like where does a person find themselves in a heightened world like this? Like how do they define themselves? Like how do they find what their role is in a world like this? And this is a really good opportunity to ask that question from the perspective of a civilian. So I'm thrilled with it.
All right, awesome. Well, I guess that about wraps her up for me.
That's that on that on that.
On that.
So the likelihood is that a lot of the people that listen to our podcast probably listen to yours. But
I mean, maybe not. I mean,
can you talk a bit about the Pod universe?
I would love to. Thank you. So, as you've probably heard from this show, you've probably heard of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, which was an experiment just like this one, except for we were building out a full cinematic universe off of the abandoned 2017 Mummy movie starring Tom Cruise. We completed that. We did a 30 film cycle plus a bunch of guest pitches, and we're really proud of that. But when we finished that, we started a new show called The Pod Universe with Dylan and Dalton, on which Dalton and I are building an entirely original science fiction universe with the same structure and premise. Basically, the format of the show, which is more or less the same format as this show, is the same, but now we're doing an original sci-fi story. And we've just, as this comes out, we will have just finished phase 1, which consists of 6 stories. The last one being a big crossover with a full cast that includes some exciting names. Vera Drew, the writer, director, and star of The People's Joker, is our star as a new character entering our universe that can help be a viewpoint for folks to jump in. The basic pitch of the Pod universe is there are 2 very similar. I should be better at this. Do this all the time. We're going to wipe out the clock here. Okay. The Pod universe is essentially a universe just like ours that diverged from a parallel universe 5 years ago. And in that time, they have become drastically different through a major crisis. I don't want to give too much away. But War of the Worlds, this new crossover, which is a good jumping on point if you just want to hop on there, is the story of how people in the Pod universe, the main story universe, have to defend the Earth from an invasion by their doppelgangers, essentially, in the Prime universe. It is sort of like, it's structured a little bit like The Matrix. There is a lot of exciting action and romance, and I'm very proud of the production of it. We have, as mentioned, we have Vera Drew. We've got Chris Myers, who was on Star Trek last season. He was
Very
on season
cool.
3 of Strange New Worlds, which is pretty cool. He played Ensign Gamble. We have some Broadway theater actors like Liana Santa Anna, and my good friend Abe Goldfarb makes an appearance of stage and screen. And it is, if you're into this and this way of telling stories, where you get to kind of have an unlimited budget to make them to make whatever movie it is in the style and structure of a movie, but you can make them really fast, and you can't actually watch any of them, then the Pod Universe is a show for you. I'm very excited about the variety of stories we've been able to tell in that format. We have a space opera, we have a spy thriller, we have a madcap. It's a mad world type movie set in a post-apocalypse with a lot of raunchy humor. Give it a go. I think you'll like it.
Loved all of them. They're so freaking good.
Yeah.
Pete.
Dalton has put so much. Just is a wizard with dick jokes. Really, you think that the art, you think that there's nowhere to go, right? We've been, millennia of blue humor, and then here comes Dalton Duchesne with a rather interesting take on what an Elon Musk type character might get up to after the technological singularity wrecks everything. And gosh, dick jokes.
So when you say that he's really good at picking out those kind of jokes, would you say that he's really good at harvesting blue humor?
I hate you.
Being like a blue
balls?
harvester?
I hate you. I hate this a lot.
Blue Harvester, Dalton Duchesne. I get the impression that I'm walking into a long running inside joke
yes,
of using Blue
100%,
Harvest in as many episodes as possible. Okay, and I've ruined it by acknowledging
Oh
the
no,
joke.
you're fine.
No.
The
It's
moment you said blue, I was like, dear God, here it comes.
Anyway, you can find us on YouTube and on all the podcatchers that you might enjoy. The Pod Universe with Dylan and Dalton. We're telling a really exciting story over the course of course, this past year, and we have a lot of stuff coming up. Musical episodes, superhero stories. It'll be very cool. And we've also had fun guests do guest pitches like this one. We've had Josh Gondelman, the stand-up comedian. Branson Reese came and pitched us a take on Ghostbusters, which was really fun.
I fucking love that episode. It's so good.
Anyway, check it out. I can stop hyping it because the hosts also like it, so they'll tell you it's good, and you'll trust them more than me because you've listened to them already.
Guys, if for some reason you've come to us first without listening to Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe or the Pod U, they are quite literally the reason we are here doing what we're doing right now. So if you have not checked them out, please do. It's a blast of a time.
Well, thank you very much.
And let's close it out. Jared, you can do it. I don't have any words.
Neither do I, man. You've been doing good so
Oh,
far.
Fuck. Okay. All right. So, all right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Dylan, for coming on. A kind of a glimpse into our future. We are probably going to be taking a bit of a break, upwards of maybe a month or so, to write our big crossover event, Maximum Clonage. It's going to be a lot of work. We're pretty excited for it. The problem is we have inadvertently overly scheduled ourselves with other original projects. Along with some of us have jobs. Actually, all of us have jobs that are full-time jobs. And on top of that, we also have like a variety of other things that we got to do. But it will be coming out when it's ready. It'll be a full cast read. We are so excited for it. I imagine we'll probably release a trailer or something to help tide y'all over until then. Because we're going to be doing a lot of hard work in coffee shops and libraries and on the beach or wherever we do writing. God, I wish we could go to the beach.
I live nowhere near a beach, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, we are all landlocked. So what else? Oh, be sure to follow us on Blue Sky at SmitPod, SMIT pod. Share with friends and family, loved ones, hated ones. Oh, share us with the hated ones, please. We are trying to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year, which that's kind of, it sounds like a lofty goal. But yeah, if we could get to 100, that would be dope. Follow us on Instagram. That's there. I think it's under the same sort of things. SmitPod.
It is at SmitPod.
Yeah. Follow Noah. Noah does a lot of cool Lego art that's really sick. Follow me. Follow Jarrett. Yeah, we'll see y'all the next time. See ya.
Take care.
Later.